Related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Amp2.tv presents You and Your Doctor, teaching you to live a longer and healthier life. Proudly sponsored by All County Healthcare, where people are the heart of our business. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified agency where one call will service all your home care health needs. For more information, call 954-717-7027 or visit our website, allcountyhealthcare.com. Now, let's get informed to living a longer and healthier life. Here is your host for today's show.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. I am your host, Dawn Graubert. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified home healthcare agency working in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. You can reach them at 954-717-7027 or email them at info@allcountyhealthcare.com. I'm excited tonight. We have a new guest joining us. We have Terri Ferguson, a licensed clinical social worker, joining us. Terri Ferguson is the founder of Savy Counseling and Training Services in Boynton Beach. With more than 30 years of experience in the mental health field, Terri brings deep clinical insight and compassionate care to her work with individuals and couples. Terri works with clients ages 12 and older, supporting them through anxiety, depression, grief, trauma, self-esteem challenges, life transitions, and emotional stress across every stage of life. She also provides couples therapy, helping partners improve communications and navigate change together. Her therapeutic philosophy is simple yet powerful. Never underestimate the power of now. Terri believes the goal of therapy is to help clients move into a healthier emotional space by developing stronger coping skills, gaining greater clarity, and learning to navigate life with resilience and intention. Through a thoughtful, client-centered approach, Terri supports individuals and couples as they build insight, strengthen emotional awareness, and create meaningful, lasting change. You can contact Terri at 561-614-2266, solutionsavvyllc.com, or email her at info@solutionsavvyllc.com. All right, let's bring Terri over. Good evening, Terri. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening. I'm happy to join you. Thank you.
Well, I'm so fortunate that we were able to chat tonight before starting the show. And your approach to individuals and couples is just remarkable. Tell our audience a little bit about what brought you into the space as a licensed clinical social worker.
Oh, wow. That started years ago when I realized that people were comfortable talking to me. And they would always say, I don't know why I'm saying so much, but you're easy to talk to. And I found that I was just naturally a good listener. So that's kind of what started it off for me. And then also I would even say, kind of refer back to my second grade teacher, if I can go that far back, Miss D. Markowski. If she's out there, I'm shouting out to her. She was someone who took an interest in me and brought my mom in one time and said, okay, she made these grades, I think mostly A's and a couple of B's or something like that. She made these grades without studying at all. Think about what she could do if she would just study or put a little bit of effort into it. And I kind of took off from there, and she inspired me. And then in school, I learned about the resilience theory, which basically means that one person can make a difference. And I was determined to be that one person in the lives of the people that I come in contact with.
And you worked with individuals, you work with couples at every stage of life. Stress, anxiety, depression. What do you see is different between all the different generations, but it evokes the same emotional response?
The challenge that they're facing, of course, in earlier life and with children and adolescents, it's usually peer pressure, get being able to get along with their families, with their parents, learning themselves, setting boundaries, being able to get along with peers. Social media has a lot to do with the stressors that youth face these days, and then just trying to navigate life and figure out how they fit in their own bodies and determine what their thoughts and positions are in the world. Middle age, of course, or I should even say young adults. It's, oh my gosh, I have to keep up with everybody else. They're constantly comparing themselves to others and measuring themselves against the cultural standards of where they should be at in their lives as they're trying to establish themselves in career, family, relationships, which are really tough these days. Just the whole dating scene is completely different with the dating apps and not as much face-to-face contact and meeting people. Once we get into the middle-age stage, of course, we're dealing with family and all the things that come with raising children, and parenting and getting along with spouse and work-life balance, all of that. And then as you get a little bit older and we have children leaving home to go to school, it's who am I?
Sure.
And do I still want to be in this relationship? I'm seeing a lot of what we might see in the news now is termed gray divorce, where couples who have been married for years, even decades, are questioning, whether or not they should remain in those relationships. Loss and trauma are always issues throughout the lifespan.
Grief and loss and trauma. And it's interesting. I was looking at your website, and you say therapy is not a cozy escape, but it's deeper emotional work. And I think some people, I think different generations, they've been at therapy younger. Therapy is not as stigmatized now as maybe it was when I was growing up, my generation. So we start our kids younger. But now you look at the gray divorce or the older generation getting divorced, kids are grown, parents of loss and grief, and they're now starting to dip their toe into therapy. But it's not, Terry, let me come sit on your couch and have a conversation. You got to go back and do some work. What does that look like?
Wow. Well, it looks like having them to reflect on their own childhood,
Yeah.
the impact that their parents had on them, looking at even generations, because we see patterns being repeated from one generation to the next, how that impacted them, unpacking years of suppressed emotions, because as we get busy with life, we really do adopt the theme of, okay, let me just get on with it, or let me just do what I need to do in order to get by. It'll be all right. So there's a lot of suppression, sweeping things under the rug, not dealing with things, must have a stiff upper lip, right? Suck it up, Sally, and not realizing that emotions are actually lodged in our bodies, uh, in our internal systems, and without processing those things, we're over the years, we're building it up, and it can actually. I always say that everything is connected. Our minds, our physical bodies, our emotions, and our spirit. And I think that a lot of times people don't realize the impact physically that suppressing emotions can have on us, on our digestive systems, on our central nervous system. There's a lot of association between these impacted traumas and emotions with long term illness, chronic illness. And so when older folks come in, even when younger folks come in, I'm really trying to teach them to be able to tune into their bodies and what are their bodies telling them, as well as looking at the thoughts and the emotions and the behavior. So everything is truly connected.
It's so interesting because now, at the generation that I'm at, when I first started in this business, they said childhood traumas and how they affect your life. And we said, why does that even make any sense? Now, all these years later, you look back and everything is about these childhood traumas. But say someone comes to you in their 50s. I come to you and I lost my dad. I've got new grandchildren, all of the loss and grief. And you say to me, okay, Dawn, now we need to look at some childhood traumas. And I think I had a wonderful childhood. But clearly I know I have suppressed things. Do you see it different in men and women as caregivers and where they are in life and what shows up?
Actually, I don't. I don't see the difference in men and women. Men suppress, women suppress, because culturally, we're taught to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps.
Yeah.
We're taught that uh, crying or even being emotional is a sign of weakness. And really, it's just a sign of being human. But we're not taught that. What we hear now in media as it relates to therapy is, oh, you need to process your emotions. And I always joke with my clients, I say, did you ever have a class in school that taught you how to process emotions?
Or they
And the
say,
answer,
right,
of
no.
course not.
Or I'm
Of course
feeling
not.
sad. You can't negate anyone's feelings. And then what do you do with that? I'm feeling as if you're not connecting with me. It's a whole nother type of verbiage that we now
Yes,
have
it is.
to incorporate in business, in relationships. And it changes, I think, business relationship, cross culture, everything changes because you have to now understand the emotions. And I understand you're sad. It makes you feel. Are we still at that verbiage now?
Uh, I would say yes.
Okay.
I don't think you would see as much of that type of verbiage in the business sector, but what you will see or and hear a lot about and see trainings around is being emotionally intelligent.
Okay.
So in the business world, of course, we wouldn't actually say it in that way, but people are expected to be able to show empathy, and you show empathy based on your response to what this person is is going through. And so it's like putting yourself in that person's shoes and asking yourself the question, well, how would they feel, how might they be feeling, and then tailoring your response to how they might be feeling so that you're connecting with them at the emotional level, and it helps
People,
communication.
well, that's what helps the communication, the business sense, and then the emotional side. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, I want to touch upon the skill set that you empower your clients to have, because as much as they would love to see you for the rest of their lives, at some point they need to make a transition and say, I need some coping skills. So on the other side of
Absolutely.
this commercial break, we're going to talk about some skills and some goals that every individual and couples work on when they work with Terri Ferguson. More to come, and we will be right back.
All County Healthcare has exciting news for any and all patients with COPD or other respiratory ailments. Listen to what renowned pulmonologist Dr. Keith Robinson has to say.
Hello, I'm Dr. Keith Robinson, board-certified pulmonologist, medical director at Fusion Health Pulmonary Rehabilitation, and a board member with the American Lung Association of South Florida. We have exciting news for patients with COPD. We now offer IPV therapy at home, which has been demonstrated to improve airway clearance, decrease hospitalization, and improve quality of life of patients with COPD. Please call All County Healthcare for more information about this FDA-approved therapy.
For further information, call All County Healthcare now at 954-717-7027. That is 954-717-7027. Or visit our website at allcountyhealthcare.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, All County Healthcare always puts the patient's needs first. You are listening to You and Your Doctor, Living Longer and Healthier, an informative show that helps you find answers to questions you always wanted to ask, but did not have that somebody that could make a difference in your life. Call into the show if you have a question at 888-565-1470, and we will put you on the air to inform all our listeners. Now, back to our show.
And welcome back to You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. All County is a Medicare certified home health agency working in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Give them a call, 954-717-7027 or info@allcountyhealthcare.com for all your home health care needs. Tonight we're talking with Terri Ferguson. She's a licensed clinical social worker in the Boynton Beach area. Let's bring her in and continue our conversation. Welcome back, Terri. Before we get into the skill set and some modalities that people will work with, tell everyone, what are some of the things that you work with? You work with individuals and couples. What else?
Usually when I see clients, they come in with concerns around anxiety, and I see that in all ages from 12 through adulthood, depression, trauma, and more clients are recognizing that they have trauma or that they have childhood trauma and want to work on that. When I see couples, the initial cause for concern is always communication. And I can tell you that it always leads to more than that. Because again, we're bringing in, think about it, we're bringing in our patterns from that we learned as children growing up in our households. There's a saying that children live or learn what they live. And it's very true. We're constantly learning through our senses and listening, with our eyes. So we're learning those behaviors, whether it's conscious or unconscious.
It's interesting because trauma and communication, two simple words, but yet they're incredibly powerful and have different meaning to anyone that shares it. Because trauma for you and I can be one thing. Trauma to someone else might be child physical abuse. Trauma to you may be your father was never home for dinner, right? It can be as simple as that scale that affects your entire life.
Yes. So trauma definitely has what we call a DSM-5 diagnosis, and we use that to look at categories of symptoms that, of course, actually indicate a diagnosis. So a definition for trauma would be truly anything that is emotionally overwhelming
Okay.
to the point where you may be experiencing flashbacks about it, having difficulty sleeping, having anxiety, being hypervigilant. There's a whole category of symptoms that go along, with diagnosable trauma. And trauma can be acute, meaning like one-time incident. I have a client who came in, unfortunately, his cousin died horrifically, and he saw the body, and so was traumatized by that. And then I have a client who was in a horrific car accident. Fortunately, no one died, but it was very a violent car accident. So, again, that's trauma. Um, that would be acute. The chronic trauma refers usually to domestic violence over a period of time, um, childhood trauma, if they're growing up and they're consistently exposed to trauma, be it child abuse, and that can be physical, emotional, or sexual. And another type of trauma that is uh, not diagnosed at this point, but I'm seeing more of that, is actually even religious trauma, and we call that church hurt. And I deal with that with clients as well.
And I know we're running out of time, but I want to get as much in as possible. Communication.
Yes.
Let's look at an older population, over 55. People are starting to think about retirement, starting loss, and now you're in this life transition of I'm home with this spouse that we both used to have our separate lives. There's a different form of communication patterns than it was when you were 20 or 25, 30, 40. How do you work with different communication skill set? What are we looking to do now in a relationship?
Well, what we're looking to do is, because most couples never even had just guidelines about communication, because we just
Did.
do what we do, right? We just make it happen from one day to another. So we start at the beginning with, okay, let's talk about what skills are necessary to communicate effectively. And it even starts with fair fighting. So, fair fighting, one of the first things that we have to do before we communicate is check in with ourselves. It's like, what type of mindset do I have right now? Have I had something in my day that maybe frustrated me? Or, especially in older couples, are there issues that are unresolved in our relationship? And am I carrying that forward in our communication every day? And how do you know whether or not that's happening? Am I getting easily frustrated? Do I want to spend more time away than I want to spend with this person? And it
Yeah,
happens,
sure.
right? It's a coping skill that people will leave home because it's more pleasant away from home than it is to be at home. And then there's a lot of fear around that too.
Sure, because if
Uh,
your spouse or you traveled as a career, right? Say you're a pilot and your job is to travel 4 days a week, and now suddenly you're retiring and your spouse, now you've had all this time together, your communication skills and what you're used to on your own time change the whole dynamics of the relationship.
Absolutely. So it's important for them to remember, number one, why they got together in the first place, and be able to come around those things that we do have in common. Oftentimes, when couples come in, not oftentimes, all the time, when couples come in, I have to help them understand that this is not a competition. Communication is not a competition. It's not I'm right, this person's wrong, or vice versa. So, bringing them to a place of commonality and common ground and helping them to look at the intentions of the person's heart, right? You have to start
So
at
it's not
that.
necessarily who's going to win the fight, who's right in this battle or wrong. It's making the relationship work, compromise, right?
Exactly.
Things we used to learn
Exactly.
in kindergarten.
Exactly. And then even understanding whether or not both parties want the relationship to work,
Yeah.
and being, getting to a point of honesty and sincerity around that. And then how much, what are you willing to give and contribute to that? Because it is work.
And that's tough. And for clients who can't get in to see you physically in Boynton Beach, you have a telehealth virtual option.
Yes, I do. And I see clients all over the state of Florida.
And how about payment? Do you take insurance or is it all private pay?
I do take some insurances, Cigna, Aetna, United Health, Oscar, and in some instances, I'm able to take a Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then, of course, out of pocket is always an option.
And what would be your takeaway message for anyone listening or watching us on mental health awareness, communication?
Mental health awareness, I would say, slow down.
Good.
Everything and everyone is going at a million miles an hour. It's important to slow down and go at your own pace. Run your race at your pace. For communication, simply listen. We want to be quick to listen and slow to speak. And as you're listening, listen for the heart of the person, not listening to your own thoughts, trying to figure out what you want to say next.
It's interesting because if you combine them, just slow down, take a breath, and listen on everything because there's so much comparison. Politics, we didn't even get into the stress of politics and anxiety turn off the TV, don't turn off the TV. What if your spouse loves this particular news broadcast? What do you suggest?
What I suggest is not watching it over and over and over
Yeah.
again. That in itself can cause some secondary trauma with all of the negativity that is out there. And it's the same thing with the doom scrolling. It is a very detrimental habit, very detrimental habit. As you're scrolling, as you're doom scrolling, what's happening is you're getting a dose of dopamine each time you go to a different screen. And so we are less attentive, less present, less patient, and ultimately less kind with one another. So put the phones away. We need to get away from the distraction of doom scrolling.
The electronic devices. What is the
Yeah,
best way for people to find you, your website, your phone number?
sure. My website is solutionsavvyllc.com, and I can be reached at 561 614 2266. You could also find me on Instagram under The Mental Health Mike, and that's MIC, The Mental Health Mike. And I'd love for you to follow me. Lots of good information there. I love giving just simple tips that you can integrate into your life that will help to improve your health and your happiness.
Thank you so much, Terri Ferguson. It's such a pleasure to have you join us. I hope we get to bring you back again on some other shows that we have at the studio because your information and your delivery of it makes it sound so simple. Slow down and breathe, communicate.
Yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
So
No
that's listening.
competition. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
joining us. Thank you again to you and your doctor and All County Healthcare. Again, give them a call, 954-717-7027 for you or a loved one. They are there to meet all of your home healthcare needs. As always, have a great night, everyone. Be kind to each other, and we will see you again next week.